Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Your Little Castle Show. This is the Cardinal Cowboy. We've got an exciting guest in the studio. You know, life is all about the doors to entry. Life is so important. You have to have that pathway, that door that opens for you. And we're talking about Renner Garage Door right here, everybody. Brad Dodson, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's neat to have businesses that are so involved in the community. You guys have been around for, is it 66 years now? Is that what
67.
67 years
Yeah.
coming out? And so when you have a company that's been around that long, obviously you've been ingrained in the company in the Midwest region. You guys are all over the Missouri area. Name for everybody the locations that you have.
We're in Kansas City, Missouri. That's our headquarters. We're here in St. Louis. We're in Springfield, Missouri, and we got a place in Camdenton, which is right there by the Lake of the Ozarks.
And we'll probably show a little bit of that up on the wall behind us, everybody. They've got a beautiful website we'll go to here in just a minute to share a little bit more about that. But as you can see, there's a lot that goes into putting together a successful company, but especially a company that's been around that long. And when the show is all about the castles, your house. And boy, if you look at some of these pictures we've got up on the wall, everybody needs a dynamite garage door because that's the biggest moving part of any house.
Correct.
And the heaviest. And something that can also be, I had some springs go out not long ago, and I started researching about how I might be able to replace the springs myself, and I'm like, people have bad things happen to them when they try to install their own springs. But that's why you need experts to do this, and that's what Renner Garage is. Tell me a little bit about why you love working with Renner Garage and why you've been there so long and what you guys do.
Well, I'm actually third generation of the company. My granddad started it, Gene Renner. My aunt is, she's the boss right now. She's the president, Denise Doms. Third generation is myself and my cousin. So I usually make a joke about how we're going to try not to tank it because that's kind of the reputation that third generation gets. But I think we're in a good spot. We have very little ego. We're not afraid to get our hands dirty. Thankfully we were both brought up to where we're expected to earn it. So I remember being younger and kind of coming to realize that my granddad has a little bit of money. And I forget how I asked him, but it was something like, "Hey, Granddad, I could use some money." And he said, "Well, we could use some help out in the warehouse,
right? Okay,
packing some hardware cartons." And I'm like, "Okay, so that's how this works." Okay, got it. So
you got to earn a living these days.
Yeah.
Something that we need to pass from one generation on to the next, and being as long as you guys have been in business, something you guys are doing a good job of already. Tell me the path that led you here specifically. I mean, beyond that, then you said, okay, Dad, Granddad,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're third generation doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and you've moved up within the ranks, and now you're the director of business development. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. How'd you end up there?
Well, basically, I kind of wanted to do my own. It was third generation, and so I had a gift, a blessing, and not everyone had that. So I kind of wanted to go out and do it on my own. And that was a challenge, and through kind of going through some of those challenges, ultimately coming to grips with, look, this is a blessing, and not everybody does get this opportunity, and coming to grips with that, and deciding, well, let's build on it, let's do good for it, it's a gift, but let's expand it, and make it better because of us. So I fully embraced it, and I'm all in.
Yeah, well, as it keep that family tradition going, it's something that. So you're right. They've done studies about this, and it's usually the third generation. First generation is the one that may build it and get it there and make it what it is from scratch. Often, second generation gets to kind of benefit from that. By the time it's to the third generation, it's like, get this business. But you guys are still doing awesome, and it's really good to see such a successful company. And I'm excited to be part of it. We'll talk about that in a little bit here too. But you talked about the path that got you there. What do you think is a personal hobby of yours that might tell us a little bit more about why you've had an affinity for this and why you got involved?
Well, personal hobbies. I'm a big baseball and football fan.
There we go.
I'm pretty busy. I got a couple young kids, so my wife keeps me pretty busy with all the activities and family events and all that kind of stuff. A passion of mine is autism, the autism spectrum. So one of our kids is a high functioning autism. So that opened us up to a whole new, a whole new world that we knew that autism was a thing, but we never really had to dive into it. And so, that's obviously become very special to us, and we've experienced that world and ultimately become better people because of it. And then just children in general. This world is not easy, even if you had a great upbringing like I've had. So just having a passion for children and giving them, try to give them a leg up to succeed. I like to say that most people don't care. They care, but all the way to the extent that, it kind of inconveniences them. And I'm no different. I'm not judging, I'm the same way. But the world's tough, and if you got a great upbringing, you still got your work cut out for you. So in the events that they're maybe neglected or even abused, and they take them backwards, it's really it really kind of upsets us. So anything we can do to build confidence in children, show them that goals are real and success is real, and that they can have that is we're real passionate about.
Now you're hitting on all the chords with regard to what we try to focus on, because everybody knows by now, not everybody, I'll mention it. My producer, John, reminds me, he says, no, a lot of people don't know why you do this. But yeah, I was in a drunk driving accident. We were hit by a drunk driver, and I was in a coma. And just what you have to go through with that. Life is difficult enough as it is, and was fortunate to have some really great parents, educated, they are educators, and really there for me. But man, wow, talk about throwing a wrench into life. A kid with autism, another challenge. But I think, isn't it also really neat that on this little planet, it seems though, my profess is that if you are willing to put in the work, you're willing to stay dedicated, you may not be the smartest, you may not be the most talented, but if you're willing to do the extra work to do it, to make it happen, and stick with it is the biggest thing, consistency, then you can pretty much be successful on this planet and really enjoy the fruits of then helping other people. I think is what makes a lot of people makes them most happy, and that's something that seems to be lost today too.
Yeah,
a lot of that is very important. Tell us a little bit more about that path that got you here. So now you've been in the company. How long have you actually been in the company working as?
I like to say most of my adult life.
Okay.
That's really it. I kind of started in the late 20s, early 30s. Really started to get involved in the business. And I've done everything from working in the warehouse to pretty much every position you can think of. Got an opportunity to be the marketing guy, if you will. This was right around the time when the internet was starting to become more prevalent, and we kind of shared some of those duties. And we're a family company, a lot of repeat business, but we didn't have like that marketing person. And so it was just good timing. I wanted a chance to do something with the next level with the company, and that's where I got my opportunity, and things just kind of developed, continued developing from there.
Well, and that's the key to this. If you stick with it, start with something, put your time in, learn the ropes, build up and progress, and get a couple promotions along the way. It seems to be the path that historically has been the way it is. This whole internet thing has kind of messed things up a little bit. Some of these whiz-bang computer gurus come in, and all of a sudden they're like the vice president of some company, and they have no background without to run a company. But hey, they'll figure it out one way or the other. But the integral long-term approach, where you start off young and build yourself up, that's I've seen provides for the most success from what I've seen. And it sounds like you're on that path, and you guys have a proof is kind of in the pudding, if you will, for that. What is it about your business that you believe fuels your passion? I mean, when you wake up every day and you say, man, love helping people to get their day started off right, so that the garage door is, it's a key piece to the function of our culture and the way the family operates. How do you talk about that?
Yeah, you said it right there with the people. So that's my favorite part of the job. It's really where my passion is. And that can be good or bad, quite honestly, dealing with people, but working with people is definitely my favorite thing about it. People say they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I'm a people person, really. That's kind of where we're excited to bring you on, we're the official garage door company of the Cardinal Cowboy, which we're super pumped about. Your voice, you have a voice in this community, and so to join this partnership with you, we're really excited about that.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. You've got a strong base here in St. Louis, and we reached out to Caleb and said, "Hey, man, would you guys like to be a guest on our show? Talk about the background you have here and what you do to help the St. Louis community." And then he said, "Yeah, well, I'm meeting with, I guess he was meeting with you." And the next thing I know, he said, "We have an idea. We'd like you to be the spokesperson for our commercials on KMOX and et cetera." And I was like, "Hey, I would love to do that. You know, that's kind of fun stuff. Kind of gets out there in the community for me to, you know, spread more of the positive vibes we try to push out there." And I bought a new mic for it and everything just to make sure that sounds good. And my buddy said, "You're going to do this, Carter. You got to do it right." And we love the opportunity to work with you guys because you stand for the right things. And that's what stood out, because we'd already done our research about you and then dug a little bit more to find out you guys are really on the ball and really helping the community. So we love to be part of it. Well, why don't we play real quick, because you want to show, I made a little video montage of it if everybody wants to take a look. And this is pictures we have from stuff I've done in the community over the voiceover that's on KMOX right now. So I'll leave it over to John to play that for us real quick.
Renner, forward and back. Hey, it's the Cardinal Cowboy. Excited to share with you about Renner Garage Door. Spells the same thing, forward and backward. Renner. Formerly the St. Louis Door Company, Renner's been selling, servicing, and installing garage doors in St. Louis since 1966. So if you need to repair or replace your garage door or opener, Renner does that. So call Renner or check out their special deals at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, the garage door company that does. Giddy up!
Well, there you go. So that is really neat. And you wrote that. I just had to read it, and it took me a few tries to get it right. And then I can edit, so we had to cut every little space out to get that thing down to exactly 30 seconds. There's a 15-second piece that's out there too.
Yeah.
But really neat to be able to be part of a company and be kind of the person spreading the good word about what you guys do.
Yeah, we're pumped. We're really pumped.
Well, thank you for that. That's really cool. All right, so let's talk a little about, there are some special things you do that are available every day. We always talk about what's a special promotion you have or what's something you offer to the community. And this is on running with you guys. You have a discount for senior citizens, a discount for military and first responders. And then also, another thing, we'll talk about that right after. Explain about why you do the senior citizen, military, and first responders discount.
Well, I mean, we respect our elders, and we know that sometimes, you know, as time goes on, you know, people could use some help. Of course, we appreciate our military and everything that they do for us. I mean, it's really because of them that we get the life that we have right now. And our first responders are you know, I mean, they keep us alive, quite honestly. So we want to do everything we can to help them. So it's a 10% off for that community, the senior citizens, the military, and the first responder.
Very cool. And then, as many of us do deal with, when you have higher ticket items, there's credit card processing that's available. But there's on a $30 purchase, a lot of times, and there's even restaurants sometimes are like, hey, there's a 3%, 5% convenience fee, because that's what the credit card companies are passing on. So you have to absorb that or pass it on. So, but if people pay with cash or check, is that right?
That's correct. So it's a 5%.
Okay, 5%.
Yeah, and those can be combined. So the senior discount and the cash, or the first responder and the cash. So that's 5%. So that could be up to 15%. At that point. And yes, it saves us the credit card processing. So we'd like to pass that on to you. So it helps both of us.
That's key to some of the success you have when you run in a business, and you just say, here's some of the things we like to highlight, the people that have contributed. Somebody who's a senior citizen, I never forget my grandma used to go up to wherever she was at, she'd say, and do I get my senior citizen discount? But if you've made it that long on this planet, you've kind of earned that, right? And that's what they say, people get a senior citizen, and especially the people in the military that have served our country. Let's talk a little bit about your reviews. I saw some dynamite reviews out there with you guys, because you're obviously doing a good job in the community. So we'd like to, and I'll even pinpoint a couple there, if I might. And give me a little bit about what reviews you think are most effective with what you got. And I'm going to pull those up here. Give me 1 second. Tell me, why do you think reviews are so important, Brad?
I mean, they're just they're honest. I mean, it's not an advertisement. So I mean, you're telling the consumers out there, what your experience was like. So it's extremely valuable. To have that real world experience. I mean, let's be honest, we run advertisements, other people run advertisements, and, and we get to we get to deliver that the way we want it delivered. So you can't fake this. You know, I mean, I guess there's some technology out there that allows people to do that, but I think that gets found pretty quick by the Google algorithm and things of that nature. So
yeah, so there's your reviews up to 4.7 overall score, 35 reviews. So you don't have 4,000 reviews. So that tells me you're not just going out and just randomly saying everybody and their brother. You want to get the people that want to take the time to get these, and it's not a 5.0, but it's a 4.7. So not everything's been perfect. And if it was, then we'd be like, hey, what's going on here? But yeah, 4.7 overall. I'm going to read a couple of these. I'm just going to randomly pick one of these. You can see we've got a bunch of. Let's do this one right here. We've used the company since 1977. And every time we needed service or new product, they are extremely responsive and polite. We just had a new double garage door opener installed. The installer was punctual, professional, and polite.
Yep.
And so you can see some of the fun stuff that they do there. I'm going to read one more.
You'll probably see a lot of John on there. People love our tech, John Harden. He's been with the company for a long, long time. So
yeah, here we go. I won't read this whole one. But yeah, John is a well-known guy in your space.
Yeah, John Harden. So
okay,
he's big.
The service at John H arrived quite early in my promised time period, 8:30 to 8:11 slot. Okay. Mm-hmm. And quickly advised my door was not in bad shape, but had him replace my 10 rollers. As I requested, my time for scheduling phone call 2 days earlier only, with nylon wheels versus real steel wheels. Yeah, so now you're just saying this. That's a good example, everybody. And for those who, when you're saying, hey man, I need to get a sale, get some business out there. What can we sell these guys? Put a new garage door in. Didn't need a new garage door.
Correct.
Gave them what they needed.
Yeah, John's kind of our secret weapon. So people just love him, and you know he wants to take care of the customer, and that's who we are. I mean, that's just who we are. That's who we've always been. So
very important. Well, tell me one thing that really you believe sets your business apart. There's some other garage door companies around, but what do you guys do that makes it stand out? So
we call it the Delden difference, is what we call it. So. Delden is our umbrella company. Delden sells the Delden product to other door dealers as well. But we are, that's our business to business side, but Renner is the installation division for Delden. So it's the business to consumer. So that's our marquee product. And, with the Delden difference, it's three things. It's premium components, all Delden brand doors, multiple brand options, and custom doors built in-house. So you're gonna have to have one to be in business. You might have two, but it's pretty hard pressed to have all three of those. So premium components in all the doors. It's all 11 ball nylon quiet rollers. It's heavy duty hardware. It's higher cycle torsion springs than the standard industry. Typically it's about a 20% longer life. You're going to get that from our entry level products all the way to our high end products. It's just built in. Whereas some of our competition, those are kind of add-on items, so you get your quote and then you start asking, hey, what about some higher cycle springs? What about the quiet rollers? Then the ticket kind of starts building. So that you're going to get that with us, premium components in all of our products. Multiple brand options. Maybe Delden doesn't have the color or the specific design, whatever it is. We've been around for a long time, built a lot of relationships over the years, and we have a fair amount of buying power. So we can really provide you about any type of product or any particular brand at probably the very competitive price. And then custom doors built in house. So a lot of the competition, they have people they can choose from. They have a lot of different options you can choose from, and there's very little modification. There might be a little bit. We can really control that entire process. So we can build, you can basically draw it up on a napkin, and we go over those specs, and chances are we can build that product for you. An easy one to talk about is like kind of the arches on some homes, and we can build that arch, specific to your home's arch, to line up versus arch or no arch. You can modify some of our current designs. I mean, it's called Your Home, Your Design. So to be able to have, the premium components and everything, if Delden doesn't have it, we got another brand that has it, and to be able to customize everything, to a very high level, you'd be kind of hard pressed to have someone who can fulfill all three of those.
Yeah, I'd say as a matter of you guys manufacture a lot of these parts with Delden as the parent company, and so then you're not going to somebody else's product. I mean, periodically if you have to for some cases, but you're the one manufacturer for most of what you actually implement. That's neat to know, because now I'm like, where does this come from, and they don't even know who this was, but you're the ones making it and then installing it.
Correct.
Very cool. All right, well, tell me, what's a mistake that consumers make on a regular basis? Consistently, you see people come in and they go, "Oh, I just want to do this," and you're like, "No, I'm not sure who told you that," or something they did, and you're like, "Oh, we better fix that because you're going to have a big problem later."
Sure.
Talk about that a little bit if you would.
One thing kind of gets overblown is R value. So R value is kind of the insulation value. And it's got some value, but people kind of overblow the value. The internet kind of overblows the value. Once you get to like a certain R value, it's kind of like the SPF with a sunscreen, you know. So once you hit that higher number, like all the higher numbers, just it doesn't really add up quite as much. It's not a 1 for 1 or 2 for 2. You can basically double the R value, and the energy efficiency went up like 3 or 5%. The industry is actually converting from an R value to a U factor. They're really just catching up with the building industry is all it is. And the R value it's a section R value versus an installed U factor. So the R value is the center of the section. Most people assume it's going to be the thickest point. And then they say, you know, this is the R value, which we did in our own manufacturing facility. And these are our calculated R values, and you pass that off as the whole door. You can't fudge the U factor. It's an entire installed unit. It goes to a testing facility. You're provided your U factor. And it gets an air and water pressure test, and it takes into account the joints along the perimeter, the bottom seal. It's a true test of the entire installed unit versus basically the thickest point of one section that discounts between the joints and around the section. So the industry is currently in the process of making that the recognizable measure of energy efficiency. Plus, one more thing about all that is that it's hard for me to say that with you increase all your R value that you're going to really feel the temperature control, especially when it opens and closes, and to promise you that that you're going to have all these heating and cooling savings. So look, I'll take your money and I'll sell you the super high R value. Be happy to do it, but we're going to basically let you make that decision. But we're not going to promise you things that we don't really, that we wouldn't sell a friend.
Yeah, it's just to say that if they really insist, but first you must understand what you're buying by doing so. And that's another point along what we were talking about earlier, and say, hey, let's do what you need, not necessarily what you think what you want.
Yeah, and if you want it, like I say, hey, we'll gladly do it, but we want to make sure that we're doing right by you, and then ultimately the decision's yours.
Yeah, at least let them know here's the information. You may not have realized somebody made that a big issue to you, but let's explain that a little more. That's important. Tell me a time when you really felt like you've helped a customer, or saw a particular situation where somebody was like, I don't know what to do, or this happened, and the guys aren't here anymore. Give me an example like that.
So we try to make it pretty seamless anyways. I think people go into it, they're searching online, they kind of got in their mind that they need a basic garage door, usually from a budget perspective. And it's our job to come in and make that experience easy and kind of, narrow down for you. Like you're saying, I want this, I like that, this is important to me. And we're able to kind of, present you some options instead of throwing you the entire catalog and saying, let me know what you want. So, one personal experience I remember was this lady who, she was an artist. She had very specific taste. And I could tell that not everyone really wanted to kind of spend the time with her that it was going to take. It wasn't really the most expensive product, quite honestly, but it was very specific. So took that time, just the right color, just the right window size, just the right detail. And it took a little time, but the finished product was really neat, and I could tell that she appreciated that someone just took that time with her, and it seemed like that she was having a hard time kind of getting, maybe getting that attention.
Well, it's one of those things where this is a decision many times. It's not something you're going to swap out your garage door every 6 months, right?
Correct.
These are big decisions. You spend a lot of money. You want this thing to last a long time. Do it right. Do it right the first time. And then we say it almost every show here. Cheap, somebody trying to be cheap, trying to save money, gets very expensive if you just don't do it right. And that sounded like that was a custom thing that was kind of done for her. Is that true?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't even that custom. It was, she had basically had one windows on one side, and the windows a certain size, make sure the dimensions exactly right to kind of fit the other areas of her home, and the placement of the window. And like I said, she was an artist. You know what I mean? Like things had but I was glad that we were able to give her give her what she wants, because quite honestly, it was a certain kind of basic model door with windows on one side, but she had a few little specifics that were very important to her, and we wanted to be able to put the right fit in there for her.
Well, that leads to the next thing. I always like to find out, what is the process that somebody goes through when they want to start working with you guys?
That's real simple. Basically, we get out there, we finally go through and come up with a price and a product that you're after and that you like. And then you basically place that order. We communicate the expectations as far as when you're going to hear back, when to expect us to call, and then we go back, we process that order, wait for the materials to come in. Once we have all those materials and quality checked everything, we're going to call you up and say, hey, we're ready to come out. So we got this, from this day on, pick a day, and they'll pick a day, and you'll schedule a time, and okay, we'll see you then. We come out there and we do the job. We want to be available too. We got people who've been doing this for a long time. So if you got any questions, hey, we're on site now. You might have some questions. Consumers always have questions. I do. I'm in the door. I can tell you everything about garage doors, but you don't want to start talking about some other things. I'm probably going to have some pretty silly questions for you. So
right.
So just being available since we're on site to be able to do that for you, and then basically. You're left with a positive experience, and you're telling your friends about it.
Well, it sounds like you obviously have the depth of knowledge, and that's where we want always to emphasize the experts in the industry, and with the depth that you guys have, man. I don't know why you would want to call anybody else with the experience you guys have, third generation here doing it right. Tell me though, as it goes, there's always a challenge. There's some kind of challenge in life, whether it was related to the business or a particular customer, or somewhere when there was a big hurdle that you guys had to figure out. Tell me a time there was a challenge that you guys had that you had to overcome.
Well, there's a little something that happened in 2020 that I think most people are aware of.
Sure.
So, and that happened in a lot of industries, especially the construction industry, probably especially a lot of industries. But that got the entire garage door industry. It was just unprecedented material shortages, unprecedented cost increases, unprecedented, lead times. I basically felt like for 2 years straight, my job was to apologize to customers. That was it. But where we actually came out better as a result of it is I talk about the relationships we built with vendors, throughout the years. So if we couldn't get a material from this vendor, we could get it from that vendor. And being that we had all those relationships, we never knew how important that was going to be able to pivot and have that opportunity. So, we had to incur the cost increases just like everybody else. We had to incur the lead times just like everybody else. But getting the material we seem to be able to get the material.
I'm going to jump in here real quick, everybody. So we're going to go through and show much more depth of the website. Lots of great information. But if you're watching this live on our ABC broadcast, the broadcast on television right now, then this is the end of the segment. Watch for more. There's a lot more to come because Brad here has so much knowledge. Stay tuned for more here on the Your Little Castle Show, everybody. Giddy up.